Well, while it's quiet, back to Platinum and Cry Bad over
Sorry, I
the
wasn't
whole.
finished
No,
there.
wait,
Platinum,
we
There we
didn't
go.
have
can you hear
Sal
Sorry,
me?
done,
guys.
though. Sal
Hey,
wasn't done. Hold on, Blazing. Sal and Platinum, I'm so sorry. They were having a good discussion. Can we let them finish, please, please, please?
Platinum,
yes.
do you agree Ryan Cohen takes inspiration from Carl Icahn?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. So regardless of him calling himself Warren Icahn or posting a picture with Carl Icahn, you're
So
still
I
not
think
sure.
what I think happened there was I think he's, icon by day or whatever the hell he said, right? That thing. I think he said that because he was using his proxy solicitors, right, to try to do something with Bed Bath and Beyond.
So this is
Isn't that what he was
interesting
doing?
because you give very vague descriptions when it suits you, but you give very concise descriptions when it comes to irrelevant stuff. Yes,
And
he used Carl
IEPs
Icahn's proxy
allowed.
solicitors.
Well, it was kind of a while ago. I don't really remember.
Okay, well, that's selective memory, that is, and it just seems like you're
Not
trying to avoid
really.
stuff now.
I just
It is.
don't really remember everything.
So you're trying to avoid the question. Yes, he does look up to Carl Icahn. Clearly, he's posted a picture of him. He even said in an interview that Carl Icahn is the OG corporate raider. He also used his solicitors obviously in the initial takeover. Sorry, there's another connection here which I've forgotten. Anyway, it's highly likely he's following his method of acquiring a company through debt, which Carl Icahn has done previously. I've read the book King Icahn. I suggest you should read it too to familiarize yourself with leverage buyouts and the way that they can use debt to leverage a company to get what they want. So,
but normally what happens is don't they cancel the shares and then the debt holders are the ones who own the company and then they turn the debt into shares?
I've said this to you before about using generic Chapter 11s as examples. It feels like you're cherry picking certain examples to try and use to discredit what could happen here.
And show me.
Do you know what the net operating losses are used for?
Okay.
Are you aware of what net operating losses are?
Yeah, I do know, but you have to continue the business.
Okay. And what's the benefits of an acquirer for using the net operating losses?
Well, there were, it says no merger, right? It literally says no merger on the last, on the Bye Bye Baby auction where they were selling assets.
What's the benefits to a potential acquirer of having net operating losses?
Well, if you wanted somebody to buy the company, their chance is over.
What's the benefits to an acquirer of the company using net operating losses?
But nobody acquired it. That's already on the paperwork.
If somebody was to acquire it, because you're telling me nobody's going to get equity. No, it's not too late. They're still in Chapter 11 emergence.
Well, they're already done with the sales. That's already over.
Sales. They're actually Sixth Street are preparing a plan with them to issue within the next 24 hours, they said, but it's been delayed.
Yeah,
and Sixth Street is actually who we have the connection with Ryan Cohen potentially using to buy the debt for the company through at the end of August, 2 weeks after he sold.
Yeah,
so anyway, let's get back to the net operating losses because you keep evading and trying to avoid that question, right? So the net operating losses are beneficial to offset tax for the upcoming tax years, right? So for an acquirer, there's £1 billion of potential tax write-offs there. However, to get benefit of the net operating losses, the shareholder equity must be preserved, which is how the shareholders would get equity in whatever spins out, carves off, leverage buyout, however it's issued. There's a possibility that it can happen, whereas you're saying that there's absolutely no way it can happen. Everything is sold and everyone's going to zero.
Okay, so I'm saying that their opportunity to get a bid in the auctions is over. For
the intellectual property and the going concern.
Intellectual property,
they said there was no actionable bids.
Hold on. Can she respond? I want to hear both sides of the argument. All I do
That's
is
fine.
You know what I'm saying? So let you go
for
pause, it. She goes, she pauses,
Well, see, all of his stuff would be good if the sale wasn't already over, right? That sounds hopeful. Okay, this, that, and the other thing, they all connect, whatever. But he had his chance, he had his opportunity. A lot of people did. And the sale was already over. The sale was for IP and for assets. The reason that they canceled it was they didn't receive any bids.
No,
right? And so the
you're
most
using
they could get,
deliberately misleading wording there. They said there was no actionable bids.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they couldn't. There was no bid.
Do you know the difference between a non-actionable bid and no bid?
Tell me.
So non-actionable bid is a bid set by the requirements from the debtors that they didn't accept. So it's the debtors that haven't accepted the bid.
Okay, and then
otherwise they'd be heading into Chapter 7 already.
Well, they sold the IP to Bye Bye Baby, right? Because they weren't, and then they said they're going to continue
You keep going back
liquidating.
to the IP. It's irrelevant at this stage. When I believe there's a credit bid happening using the debt of the company to leverage the management into selling the company to whoever owns the debt, which in my opinion is Ryan Cohen, based on seeing him listed as a creditor and his initial engagement with the company and how seriously he would be about acquiring it.
Well, you can see who owns the debt by looking at the claims, right, and seeing who filed claims.
No, there's a lot of non-redacted NDAs in there, basically. There's non-disclosure agreements in there. At this stage, why would somebody be redacting information?
No, the bank, it says Bank of New York Mellon, as trustee, has like over $1 billion in claims.
No, Sixth Street had actually issued equity. David Simpson's better. He knows all this stuff with the FILO loan and the ABL, so he can actually break down how the Sixth Street would have acquired the debt.
I can tell you the reason that they're doing it with Sixth Street, right? So the reason they brought them up is because Sixth Street is the one who did the DIP financing. And by doing the DIP financing, they were able to cut the line with their existing debt that they had with Bed Bath & Beyond. So they lent them $40 million and they were able to roll up some of their debt. That's why the other, group of creditors or whatever, that's why they were trying to fight it, because they got to cut the line.
The other group of creditors were likely nefarious actors. Jake Freeman has written a paper about the bonds and how to use them to drive a company to the ground. So I don't want to get into that too much because I'm not fully aware of it. However, I've seen the paper by Jake Freeman, and the pumping of him by the media around that time was very suspicious, and it's likely he is part of it in some way.
Well, he's not, though, because you can look and he hasn't filed a claim, so he's not a part of it.
Okay, so you're absolutely convinced that Bed Bath is done and it's going to zero, right?
I don't know if it'll go to zero. That's a thing, because right now it can still be quoted, right? So it's delisted. That's already done. So it's not like another, company can come in and just use it as a listing because it's delisted. It's not even on an exchange. It's on over-the-counter stocks.
Yeah, it's been over the counter for a while. The delisting today was just a formality.
So something I actually recently just learned, right? I didn't even know this until I started looking into this whole stuff, was that when companies file for bankruptcy, sometimes they'll cancel the stock and it'll just keep on being quoted because it's the over-the-counter market and it's just like the wild, wild west, right? There's like really not any regulations. If it can be quoted, if someone will buy it, like they'll do it. And so if they just continue on like that, I mean, potentially it could just continue trading forever. Like there are stocks not connected to any business, like, Sears, for example, Party City. Those
Can I jump in?
Are not connected to the business. Sure.
Yeah, just to say, like, when you delisted, you can relist. It's not like gone forever.
If you meet the requirements, sure.
Yeah, so I mean, you just said you can't.
Well, they're dissolving, the company, right? They're liquidating.
No,
that's what they even said.
They're preparing it for like a merger.
Well, it said no merger on the Bye Bye Baby asset, IP purchase paperwork. It said no merger.
Yeah, you don't merge with the IP, like.
Well, it was for the assets. That was like the whole asset sale.
Shout out to Miller from Ghana. NG my pandas. Cream juice.
I guess I'm just want to say that, like, you can't really use the example of just a delisting and cancellation and stuff. There's very different outcomes in all those situations. And, like, I know it's like, it's tempting to say it's all done, but really, there's various different outcomes that can come from that. And I mean, if this was over, it would be a Chapter 7,
Yeah, right. Well, so the big difference between Chapter 11 and Chapter 7 is that Chapter 7 is just straight up liquidation. They shut the stores down, they fire everybody, and they try to have like fire sale, I guess, with the assets somewhere. A Chapter 11 lets them keep the stores open and continue selling their assets. Now, the only way they were able to keep the doors open was by doing that DIP financing. And that's the only way they were able to do the Chapter 11.
Yeah, like you need the financing to keep going during the
right. They were broke. Yeah. They had no money. Like they couldn't even keep the lights on, pay anybody unless they did.
They never used the DIP financing, correct?
Yeah, they didn't really need it.
They never used it. That was the whole lawsuit. The whole day in court was over them not using it because they had more money than expected.
Well, they did use it. And they're definitely using it.
They did not. It's recorded in court.
Yeah, they didn't.
They did not use the DIP financing, and that's why Glenn had a big issue with it, and he was saying that there's some irreparable harm to the company or people or immediate harm or something.
He's talking about the specific 30 million that was held in those banks that weren't made by the banks, or like they were supposed to go to bank accounts, but they didn't actually end up making the bank account because the bank was struggling.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I didn't hear that.
That was like the whole 3 days. That was like a huge portion.
Yeah, so they were fighting that because Sixth Street got to cut the line, and they're like, oh, what the hell? Because they cut the line in order. So when it comes to stakeholders, right, there's going to be different classes of stakeholders. There's going to be the secured creditors, then there's the unsecured creditors, right? And so they got to cut the line to get paid back.
So just in regards to that, there was recent filing that said that they're considering the deference of all stakeholders, and they specifically mentioned stockholders.
Deference? What do you mean?
I need to find the exact wording. However, I researched 2 Chapter 11 cases. In fact, I replied to you with this. You never responded to that. It was on Carrie.
I have you muted, my friend. You're annoying. I'm sorry. No offense.
I'm annoying because I ask logical questions. I believe if you weren't in the space right now, you'd still be avoiding, because you got no one in here has had any credible answers from you, I'm afraid. The stuff you give is generic. You keep weaseling your way back to the IP stuff and the 170 bidders. There's court documents showing that Ryan Cohen's is an interested party. He's a creditor. There's a lot more probability of this happening than there is of you being right at this moment in time. And I just want to ask you, would you step down from Superstonk? You don't hope so, don't lie. Would you step down from Superstonk if you're wrong? Because you should put something up as collateral with your strong opinions.
So cringy. Really?
How's it cringy? That's something that gives you value in life. I believe that you should have some sort of investment because you've got risk-free opinions.
Well, I love GameStop, and I would do anything for GameStop.
If you love GameStop, you should be tweeting about GameStop more than you tweet about Bed Bath & Beyond. No, you don't. You definitely don't.
Hold on. Anybody can do whatever they want. You can't tell someone what they can and cannot do. Okay, that's just the way I feel.
Well, the thing is she's a mod for Superstonk, and she does get to tell people what they can and cannot do, and she does get to do that. Where we are
100%.
This is Twitter.
James, while I agree with you, as a moderator, you should have an impartiality in your influence over the community. Do you agree or not?
Sure, yeah. That's why I approved posts that I thought were complete.
IEP.
Definitely not true.
I was asking James a question.
Is approved.
So hold on. Just let me speak. I agree. I think you should be impartial, right? Because if you're a mod on Superstonk, whereas if you got to go through all the posts regarding BBBY and GME, what's credible, what's not, or whatever. But if you're on Twitter, I think you should be able to talk whatever you want to say.
Just in answer to that, do you not believe that as a moderator of Superstonk, people are going to follow you on Twitter, looking to you for advice and some sort of guidance in what's going on with GameStop? Instead, you're spending your whole time discrediting another stock that you've got risk-free opinions in.
Let's see. So I tweeted, I think, twice about Bed Bath & Beyond ever. So I think the first one... Yeah, like an actual tweet, not replying to people that are tagging me, right?
See these loopholes you try and create.
It's not a loophole. Should I just not reply to anybody? And then what? You're going to be like,
I'm not even going to waste my time gathering. There's a lot of people in here. I think you could put your thumbs up if you think Platinum spends more than 2 tweets tweeting about Bed Bath & Beyond.
You can just look at it. Look at my Twitter. So the first thing I said was, if you look at my tweets, so the very first one was in February, right? Because when I saw that deal, I was like, this is bad. Like, that is death spiral financing to a T. That's exactly what it was. So in February, I saw a ton of people being like, oh, this is no dilution. But actually, me and Crybad talked about it for probably a week, trying to figure out exactly what the deal was, because I'm like, is this what I think it is? And we're just going back and forth doing the math, trying to figure out what it would be if the price went to, to $1 or whatever else. And yeah, it was bad. So what did I write? I'll tell you exactly what I wrote. Red flags here, BBBY. Please do your own due diligence before investing in any company. Defaults, major dilution, borrowing more money to pay off the interest in other borrowed money, $1 billion plus loss in 2022, low inventory, bad vendor relationships, right? That's it. I didn't say anything about shareholders. I didn't say sell. I didn't say do anything. All I said was, please do your own due diligence. And then I said, some of the things that I thought were red flags, which were all the things that got brought up in the bankruptcy filings. They said the same exact thing that was wrong with the company.
Okay, so you've done a lot of research into the dilution, right?
Yeah.
How many shares are outstanding?
Isn't there like 730 something according to
And
one
do you
thing?
believe
And
they're
then,
all
like,
on the public market?
yeah.
So if that's the case, why have we not seen a higher volume? We're only seeing 10 million shares a day. We've seen 50% a day failure to delivers. We've seen 230% cost to borrow. If there was a public dilution, would it not make sense that they'd have no problem locating shares right now?
I mean, do you like see where the stock went from February until now?
That's not what I said.
That was dilution.
That's not what I said.
So they
if we're diluted, they should have no problem with having cost to borrow or failure to delivers. They're having a lot of problems. They're paying 230% to borrow a stock that's in OTC at 30 cents with 10 million shares a day traded. If they were diluted, we'd be doing 10 times those numbers.
What?
Bets on this call? Fuck that.
Hold on. There's someone talking real quick. Just raise your hand, please, because we're just trying to get information here. Was on about the volume of 10 million and how many million was the volume you said, Salvatore?
So we've had 10 to 15 million shares a day volume. However, when we had 117 million share float, we were hitting nearly 1 billion shares traded a day. Since moving to OTC, they haven't had the liquidity to keep back and forth trading with us. So I think on the balance of probability, looking at the numbers, there's been hardly any shares to borrow for the last week. I think we went 7 days with 0 shares to borrow.
I agree with that.
The stock was at 4 cents. It was at 4 cents.
Does someone say buy the dip? No, no, but yeah, it was it was at 4, and it's at what, 38 cents right now, 39.
Well, it's up 1,000% since then.
Yeah, but what does that matter? Like, honestly, right?
Okay,
so
Platinum,
AMC
again,
is like,
you haven't
oh,
answered
cost
the
to
question.
borrow
You
is so
stayed
high.
quiet. You stayed quiet on what I asked you. If there's been public dilution, they should have no issues in having low cost to borrow prices and not failing to deliver 40% of the daily volume. Correct?
That's not how cost to borrow
real
works.
quick? I asked this earlier. Are there still outstanding warrants on the stock?
There's so many weird, strange wordings that even the people that look at this stuff in the community every single day can't work out what's happened with these stock warrants. There's 300 million shares we believe are locked up in a pipe deal. Obviously, we can't confirm that due to the non-disclosure agreements. However, looking at the balance of probability with the cost to borrow being ridiculously high on a stock that's supposed to have been 7x diluted, 40% a day failure to deliver on low volume, that can't be public free float right there.
Right.
What
okay, sorry, Platinum. From what I've seen with other stocks with warrants, it could be possible that this is institutions finding it out, and they have those warrants. They know they have them. They know that there are people out there shorting, because there's always people shorting and people not shorting, and but on Wall Street, and so they may be holding those warrants themselves in order to squeeze out whoever has been shorting the stock.
So one thing about cost to borrow, I forget who we were on a call with, but they were saying how usually brokerages increase the cost to borrow when they know that there's going to be a high demand for borrowing that stock. So
if there's high demand and low supply, does that signal dilution to you?
No, it signals that a lot of people think the stock is going to go down, in my opinion. Right, because so many people are, shorting it that they need to borrow stock. Same thing with AMC.
So
right
it's
now,
actually gone up, which doesn't make sense to what you just said.
It what?
If the stock price has gone up, if they were borrowing to short, we would have gone down. We've gone up.
Their cost to borrow is cheaper than what they would pay on taxes to close out the short. So, like, if they shorted it,
why would
starting at
you short
$6,
something if you didn't have to?
Why would you what?
Why would you short something that's already bankrupted at pennies?
Of course.
Exactly.
Well, maybe people think it'll, go down more. Well, I can't answer. I'm not shorting it, so I have no idea.
No, you can't answer because it's not logical. You don't want to answer it.
Allow for him to just, oh yeah, let's take our chance on an infinite downside on pennies?
It doesn't make sense, does it, logically?
Yeah.
And this is it, Platinum. So given all that facts that I've just given you, do you still think it's publicly diluted 7 times over?
Well, yeah, that's what it says, and that's what makes sense because so they were given 24,000 preferred shares to begin with, right? Along with the warrants to purchase more preferred shares, and
I think she's.
No, I just brought it back up. But
left and then heard myself talking.
well,
that is so strange.
I just start. I'm getting DMs that I'm removing people. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, I just got kicked off. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, my bad.
I didn't do that.
Sorry. Yeah, so each one single preferred share equaled $10,000 worth of common shares. So think about that. The lower the price goes, the more shares they can get. And that was freaking insane to me. I was like, holy, because that was 240 million shares just to start off with that they were given.
Oh my God! Everyone's coming back up to speaker. What did everyone just get booted down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up getting rugged. I couldn't hear anybody, so I stepped down and came back. But I actually, excuse me, I actually just took myself off my Wi-Fi. I feel like my Wi-Fi is acting weird right now. So.
Oh, where'd he go? See? Oh, Sal. Sal, I'm glad we're having like a. Oh, did he leave? Oh, hold on.
No. Sal went back down.
Oh no, it's connecting. It says it's connecting.
So this is good. I do like it because like some people I can't keep everyone happy in a space call. It's humanly impossible. But I think if we can just keep it in this manner and just go back and forth, there are people listening. People want to know, and I'm kind of glad. I want to know, right? And I think it's very good. And I think if we can just keep it copacetic, just very cordial or whatever, and you know what, it benefits everybody. And then we can go on to part 2 too. I think that. Oh, Platinum just left again. You know, and I think we should address the Martish. Oh, someone. Wow, this is rugged. Can anyone hear me? Everyone is now unmuted. Who's hitting the button? I didn't even hit the button. Let me see. We got oh, there you are. Jeez, everyone's getting. This is crazy.
James, can hear.
Can I hear who? Planet, what's Planet? I'm not doing it. I'm not removing you.
I know.
I'm just letting you know.
No, I believe you.
Yo, remember when it used to mess up and you used to be able to hit speaker and it wouldn't take you off. It would just double click and you would stay off speaker. That's what it's doing. That's what it's doing to me.
Yeah, exactly. But is Sal here?
I don't know.
Let's see. No, because he knows a lot of information. And
dude, I like talking to him like when he's just being, just not like in an attacking way, right? Like I'm down to talk about anything, anytime. Like anyone.
And I think it's and if we can just keep it that way, because I it's we can just slowly turn the cliff here and just go off the hill. But
we're having a Tesla. Did they have bad earnings or something? They're down to like almost 275 right now.
Oh God. Yeah, but Platinum, I don't want you to change the subject here. I want you to stay on point now.
Oh yeah, back to the preferred shares.
Do you understand what I'm talking about? You don't understand the truth. You can't. No, I'm joking.
You can't handle the preferred share truth.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So anyway, now Platinum, I want to say thank you so much, and I know there's some people upset, but we're gonna get back because you helped me this morning and B-Strat, everyone.
Oh my God! If anyone ever wants to do anything that's gonna like benefit GME, and you ask me, like I'll help you out no matter what. I'll make some time and help anyone with whatever if I can.
Yeah, no, I want to say thank you for like 3.5 hours of your time.
Oh, it wasn't that long, but you're welcome.
Well, I exaggerate a little bit, but
yeah, no problem.
But Salvatore, is he? I thought I just saw him again. Then he just left. Wait, Sal, can you come back? Oh, 1 second. Just two more questions, and then you could be done. Two more. He wants to do 3. Is that all right? All right, here he comes. All right, Sal, here we go.
Did he actually request? Is he here?
No, I'm joking.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. I'm talking in the background. I'm just having fun. But wait, was it Simon? Simon came up. Simon, did you have your hand up? Was that you? Or was that Damo or something? I can't even see the names on the fucking screen.
Yeah, that was
Damn,
me.
Elon.
Yeah.
Okay, Simon. Yeah, you're on the air with Larry Click. Good morning.
Hey, morning. It's morning where you are?
Well, I'm just joking. It's good evening. Right? I always say good morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to speak on. Someone mentioned that we were supposed to hear the reorganization plan sometime today, but that it had to be submitted to a judge first. Does anyone know? Is that true? Because I heard that they were saying it's going to be a disclosure statement that would happen within the next 24 hours. So I don't know if these dockets all have to be approved by the judge before they go out first. I don't think that's the way it works.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't know.
I think that was Eileen that brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that it'll definitely go on the Kroll website, right? It'll be on the left, and it'll probably say disclosure and plan, and then they'll probably have like a thing that'll tell you where all the claims are going to be, right?
Yeah,
so
I've been hitting that all day trying to see when it's going to come out, but 24 hours have passed since they mentioned that, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Someone mentioned in lawyer time that could be another 3 days, but we'll see.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, when you're getting paid $1,000 an hour, you take your time.
The other thing I wanted to mention was Platinum. Thanks for coming on and talking to all of us. Did you have a chance to take a look at that article? People are screen clipping it a lot. Holly Etlin is being interviewed about how she manages these Chapter 11 cases. And she was saying it's actually quite commonplace for the IPs to be cut off from the existing company and sold off as part of a successful exit from Chapter 11. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that would make sense because it makes some money. It's all about exiting. I mean, an exit just means it's over, right? So it could be an acquisition, or it could be just, done. But either way, the whole point is to pay back people that they owe money.
Yeah, but it's just to hop in quickly, I don't understand the concept of it being over. I mean, it exits as a profitable company worth $5 billion, and I mean, the idea of the nulls exists there to be, for a merger or acquisition in which the existing equity receives 40% of new equity, right, and cash, or 100% new equity. So, I mean, that's far likelier the case than to just sort of be it's over, right? That's kind of dismissing all this work that's obviously being done, to work on this restructuring in Chapter 11, right? So it's not exactly over. I guess you're probably saying that Bed Bath is over, of course, they're selling the name off, but it's not the end of the company, right? It's not the end of the assets and the sort of machine functioning there, that's still making money and worth quite a lot.
Well, so $5 billion in revenue doesn't really mean anything when you end up the year negative $3.5 billion.
It was $5 billion valuation. It wasn't $5 billion in revenue.
Where do you see that?
That was Holly Etlin in court. She said it's a $5 billion company.
Right, of revenue, right? Which doesn't really matter.
No, she just said it's a $5 billion company.
Well, didn't
that's
she
how much
say
revenue
because they were making 10 to 14 million a week or something? Is that what they were saying?
Yes, that's what they said.
Right, because they weren't paying any vendors or anything. They were just selling everything that they had, correct? I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know.
She's saying that the company is. She literally said this is a $5 billion company. That's what she said. She didn't talk about revenue.
Yeah, last year. That's how much revenue they made, right?
That's what she was saying at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So just take her on her word. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, the end of the year, negative 3.5 billion, which was not good.
I mean, those you've got your nulls there that are 1.7 billion, and then the debt pretty much equals that. So you're pretty much coming out you're even, right? Basically no debt.
The only way to take advantage of the nulls would be if they were to continue the business, though, and it doesn't look like anyone is coming in to continue the business.
Well, it looks to me like Teddy's coming in to continue the business, but
Who?
Teddy, right? The trademark that Ryan Cohen filed, which sells everything that Bed Bath sells, and that would be a continuation of the business, right?
But that hasn't happened, and doesn't look like it's happening because
it looks very much like it's happening to me and a lot of other people,
Yeah. Also,
I mean, of course,
I'd like
you
to
can't
go
prove
back
the negative,
what Salvatore mentioned about
there's a lot of indication.
Hold on, Damo.
where else is the company going to go? You know?
Yeah, okay. It was. I'd like to just back revisit what Salvatore mentioned earlier about the cost to borrow. I really lost Platinum there on that. Like, how can she think?
Yeah, what's going on? Where the fuck did everyone go?
Did everybody drop off?
I'm here.
I just like to
I'm
ask
just
you,
wondering,
how do you think cost to borrow goes
what's with this hold on stuff?
If the shares are not wanted, if people want to sell them, cost to borrow goes up. Explain that to me.
So what I heard was that when there's more like demand to borrow shares in order to short them, the cost to borrow will go up, so that whoever is like loaning them up will make more money.
So this is the continuation of your and Sal's conversation. So Sal,
yeah. So you're back on the airways, Sal. I did not boot you out of the space, just to let you know that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate that. And obviously, James, like I said before, you've conducted this fairly and you've given everyone a chance to speak. Obviously, it does get a bit heated and we speak over each other sometimes. However, it can get frustrating when you've tried to engage with somebody and ask them questions and they've muted you and avoided you, but they're discussing the same thing with other people. So it just goes to show they're avoiding the discussion with you directly. Platinum, you mentioned some of your tweets. One of the tweets that I've just remembered was when you tweeted Ryan Cohen in Chinese and you said, please tell them you have nothing to do with bed baths. That was very cringe, very weird of you to do.
Shit post?
That's not a shit post. That's a conflict of interest. Right? You've got an emotional interest in bed bath not succeeding, and that's what's driving your ambition to pursue information on this. It's not in search of truth or knowledge.
Well, I mean, if he did say something, we would know for sure, right?
Well, you shouldn't be tweeting him in Chinese saying, please tell them you have nothing to do with bed baths. That's very weird.
Yeah, I was joking.
That's not a joke. That's not a joke. It's a desperate attempt.
Okay. Before you dropped off, I was actually gonna like say thank you for having this conversation and, you know, not being super aggressive. Because sometimes it's like, you know, I don't even want to respond because then everyone's going to attack me for why
no,
do you care
can't
so
say
much?
that you don't want to respond when you're responding to other people but avoiding myself. That shows me you don't want to respond to me, which means you haven't got answers to the stuff I ask you. And I'll be honest, the stuff you've given me today, the counter arguments are very weak, and it goes to show how little you actually know about the stuff that's relevant, and you only pick information that's irrelevant to then share with the community.
All right. Well, thank you for your opinion. I appreciate it.
James, thank you very much for hosting this space. I'll try and come on with you guys again, and we'll maybe talk some more GameStop stuff, not about bed bath. And everyone else, good night.